She is feeling very hesitant, as though she's not able to carry out her will. Something is blocking her desires, something or someone. Her left hand heart line has an overlap in it. This is signifying some emotional trauma. The right hand heart line signifying external emotional and literal heart health doesn't have the same sort of formation here. We can see it as well here. The heartline formation looks very different on the left hand to the right, signifying some serious kind of emotional trauma that she's been through. And this may well answer some of this hesitancy that we see here as well. The right hand Jupiter finger leans in towards this very sort of hesitant, cautious thumb. This is showing that what she is doing, she's doing it for herself. She is succeeding and achieving for to gain a greater understanding and feeling of herself. But her left hand index finger also leans in towards her thumb. She's not only doing it for herself, she's doing it for her family as well. Really, I'm amazed by her fingers because her Jupiter finger really stands out from the rest of the fingers. It's almost as though the rest of the fingers belong to a different hand. Her Jupiter finger is tremendously strong. It's wide, and it just gives this appearance of just being very, very strong. She's a delegator. She's a leader. She's dominant. She's in control. She's making decisions, and she has very strong feelings around her ability to judge and perceive others. She's probably very religious, I would think, at the least very spiritual. I really like this image here because it gives us a good indication as to the true finger lengths here. And this is because, in other images, Apollo and Mercury fingers are just so hesitant. There's an inability again here to really kind of express her true self. She's hiding a little bit. And with this image, what we see is actually the true extent, the length of Mercury. Now, when we see a long Mercury finger like this, it's a little bit low set, and this again is insecurity, but it's not tremendously low set. But it is long, it's very long. And this, in conjunction with a long Jupiter finger, is always the sign of a singer, someone who has those strong feelings of not only communicating their message, but a strong enough feeling of themselves in order to get up on stage and project who they are. Now, her Jupiter finger isn't tremendously long, but it is level. I mean, it's actually a little bit short, but it is level with Apollo, and it is a sign of fame in palmistry. Now, the Jupiter finger represents all to do with the self, the ego, ambition, judgment, authority, things I've already mentioned. The Apollo finger represents our talents and our creativity and our ability. So when we see this in line with each other, her feelings of herself, what she feels that she is capable of, is in line with her feelings of herself. In other words, there's a realistic ability of what she is able to achieve, and this is why she is where she is, or one of the reasons why she is where she is. It's one of the signs of fame in palmistry. There are several signs. Check out the 7 signs of fame in palmistry just here. It's an old video I did. Her hand type really is quite curious to me because she's certainly significantly, absolutely a fire hand. There's a long palm, and I would say the fingers aren't really all that short, but I think they're only just short when compared to the palm's length. It's certainly a close call, and this closeness between being a water and a fire hand means that she has actually a little bit of both. We're just gonna have to kind of take some um, proportionate kind of common sense when it comes to hand types. But to be more specific, she probably is a water hand. She probably is an intuitive hand anyway. Fire types and water types are often very intuitive. She certainly fits into this category, but there's something a little bit dynamic about her as well. Just like Jisoo, she is very sort of quick and witty. I think she's probably very able to, uh, you know, come back at you with a comment in a debate very quickly. She's probably able to rap as well. I think, a lot like Jisoo, if you want to check out my video I did for her last week, that's very similar in this way. I have to say, intuitively, I think she would make an exceptional judge. I think she is an exceptional judge of character. Emotionally speaking, though, she's quite complex. She comes across certainly as reserved and even to some quite cold, quite calculating. Her heart line is very straight. it's just undeniable. On her right hand, the space in between her head and her heart line has grown slightly. There's a slightly larger space on the left hand. Inherently, who she is, it's quite small. It's quite. I think she was always quite reserved anyway. This is just part of who she is, her nature anyway. She's certainly come out of her shell a little bit. She's let some walls down. She's more able to let people in, more able to be vulnerable. But this is only through development and growth she's learned to be like this. Otherwise, this is just who she is, really. And her love language, her main love language, is through acts of service. She's going to turn up, show her time, show herself in effort. She's going to solve things practically. She's going to buy you things to show that she loves you. She'll think about things that you need in your life to help you and buy them for you and put them in place. And that's her way of showing that she loves you. She's not the sort of person to get sentimental or even that romantic. She's probably not all that into being touched, or um, I think her emotional psychology is very complex. She is much more stimulated by the thought of something, the idea of something, rather than just someone who's good looking or can woo her with words. I hope that makes sense. She's very complicated in that respect, and I think that most often, people just don't get her in that way because she's not. Um, I suppose I don't want to say unusual because she isn't, but she's not typical, absolutely, in terms of her emotional psychology. I absolutely think that people just get her, they just don't get her. So this is really interesting. Check out the right-hand heart line here. Now notice it's very straight. Bum, 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 bum. It lands over in between Jupiter and Saturn. So although she comes across as very sort of cold and reserved, she has a good sense of right and wrong. And as I say, she's a very intuitive judge. Now, this is where things get difficult or different. Check the left-hand heart line. Bang. It crashes into the life and the headline. We've seen this before. And this is really showing that there is, and you can't quite see it on this image here, but this heart line here crashes into the life and the heart line. Bang, when she's a child. This is some emotional trauma. It's disappointment, it's hurt, it's upset. She's gone through an emotional trauma, and it's akin to heartbreak, and that's what's caused this right here. And it might have had something to do with her hesitancy, which we see in her fingers, the Mercury and Apollo just kind of always being that little bit sort of that curvature there. That's possible. Curvature in those two fingers is also seen in people who have a high degree of Neanderthal DNA, 3% or more. And that's often seen in dynamic hands, and she certainly has something of a dynamic hand. It's a little bit dynamic, mostly intuitive though. When we look at the left hand lifeline, it really narrows off the Venus Mountain. Again, her sense of kind of physical desire, her personality, openness, her charisma. These are kind of reduced her social network. She's not so open to the world. She's kind of closed herself off. Internally, I think she's a very private person. Now, when we look at the right hand, it's kind of a different story. It's not very clear here, but it does appear to swing out a little further. So this is showing that, I suppose, really, the life that she was going to live, her attitude towards life, was or would have been extremely different. The path that she is on has changed significantly. She is absolutely longing to travel. And I can see in her lifeline, this is not very clear. But I can see that she really is struggling, or she has been in recent years anyway. So right up to the age of, I would say even last year or so, things for 4 year spell from 24 to 28, I think she was significantly struggling in life, really, finding things stressful. I'm going to say that around about, I'd say from the age of nowish, in fact, there's big changes in her life, and her life is taking a completely different direction. Headline appears to double here. I might be seeing this wrong. I think I'm getting this right. It appears to sort of double here. There's an overlapping upper kind of headline here, and this is always seen on. This is very common actually in people who are very famous. Michael Jackson has this, and a secondary kind of ability to a secondary mindset. Um, when a person has to think and operate in a very different way in a very different environment, present themselves in a very different way, this kind of develops, and it's always seen in the hands of people who find it really difficult to switch off. And this upper headline is who she sort of presents to the outside world, the business showbiz world. The inner headline here is actually far more that thought process that she only really reveals to those who she trusts and is closest to. And I think trust is certainly an issue for her. I think she does have some trust issues. And I think this stems back to that trauma I spoke of when she was a child. And I'm going to pinpoint that age. I'm going to say it's 8 years old. And it's not like this was just a sort of a one off. This was a significant spell in her life that lasted for quite some time. It was, very troubling, um, borderline disturbing. It's very, very traumatic. I'm gonna go back on myself a little bit here. It's more like sort of 10 years old, and it's right up into it maybe sort of 15, 16 or so, maybe about 15. Part of this need to dominate and control and make decisions, it comes from, having a lack of control when she was young over whatever it was that happened. It stems from that. It comes from that trauma. It's a coping mechanism. I mean, if we can keep things in control in our lives, then nothing can go wrong. And that's essentially what's happened. There's a strong sense of order, routine, structure, administratively, when it comes to keeping things in order, finances and this kind of thing. Things have to every T has to be crossed and every I dotted. There are going to be several significant life changes for her. One, I believe, is at the age of 36. I'm going to say 36. There's another significant life change. I think that 36 will be a significant career shift, a big career change. It could have something to do with family. And then about 10 years later, 9 years later, there's a significant shift again, and I believe she moves. I think that she, travels, like I was saying, she has a strong desire to travel, but I think this is, foreign settlement, relocation. 45, I believe this is. I believe that she will, essentially move, long distance. I believe she will meet someone at this time. I think she will meet her significant life partner at this time. There could be some health issues that arise at the age of 50. Wouldn't surprise me if this is stress related, but it's kind of a little bit far ahead to be guesstimating on that level. I mean, just check out how squared off Apostle is here. She's going to be up all night in the recording studio, making sure that everything is polished. You know, she probably won't be sleeping. And actually, this is something she really needs to watch out for. Being an intuitive hand type, constitutionally speaking, vitality wise, she's not all that strong. Her body is kind of liable to just sort of saying, "Right, enough is enough." Dynamic hands, she's more intuitive than dynamic. Don't listen to their bodies; they're workaholics. So she is kind of in danger of stress, burnout, working herself to the bone, and not looking after her body. Having said that, intuitive hand types are intuitive and they are so aware that sometimes, they are all too aware of what their bodies are asking. So it can go both ways, but more often than not, not in their favor. So I think, it kind of goes without saying in one respect, she is very, very intuitive, very instinctive. I think overall she's fair. She's, I've mentioned her leadership qualities and her need to kind of dominate and control, but I do think she is reasonable and fair and understanding. I just think that she goes about things in a way that I think people just get her the wrong way. I think they think that she's quite sort of unkind, unfeeling, insensitive. It's not the case at all. She is highly sensitive, but how she comes across doesn't sort of present that way. Have you enjoyed this video? Please do let me know. Please do subscribe. Please give it a like. I need all the help I can get. The algorithm loves that kind of thing. And consider becoming a member. Let me know who you would like me to read the hands of next week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.